Alright, I just gotta say this, man. Don't nobody piss me out more than these dang on black civil rights leaders, man. Like, who the hell told Jesse Jackson I wanted to be African American, bro? How you know I ain't want to be who I am? How you know I didn't want to be the Indian that I am, bro? How you know I wanted to be African culture, bro? Because I'm black and whole time your status say Indian? Like, was y'all working against us? Y'all obviously had to be working against us for you to know you were Indian, but then turn around and say that all the black folks want to be known as African Americans. Don't nothing piss me off more than these so-called black civil rights leaders that threw us under the bus. Like I was a kid, bro. I didn't decide that.
So, everybody, did you know Jesse Jackson and Ramona Edlin got sued for inventing the term African American? And Mr. Avis J. Smith, which is the plaintiff, versus Ramona Edlin and Reverend Jesse Jackson as the defendant. And here go the case number. If you cared to look it up, right here. And the one who sued them, he had wrote a book, and he talks about what happened, right? But the weird thing is about it, you can't find Mr. Smith's picture nowhere on the internet, and I wonder why. But the book was published in 2015, right? The book focuses on a court case filed in the District Court of Washington against Reverend Jesse Jackson and Ramona Edlin by Avis J. Smith in response to a meeting titled the African American Summit held in 1989. At this meeting, 5 prominent black reverends, right? As you can see the names right here, right?
Yo, so we back in here for another edition of F-ya-Motha. And before I let that video roll, the previous video, my man was saying who decided that I was an African American. Now, I gotta research this TikTok video, but considering it looks official and it's 2025, you couldn't make up shit if you wanted to. And because the dude that sued him has a book, I'm assuming all things are corroborated. What I will say is Jesse Jackson had actually popularized and coined that term African American before 1988, if I'm not mistaken. Memory serves me correct. When he was actually running for president, he had actually started using that term to label black people. Before that, black people were labeled black, Negro, and depending on where you live, mostly in the South, or Afro American, right? That was actually rolled off the late 60s throughout the 70s until the early 80s. He had actually coined African American because he was trying to find a likeness because of slavery with African people that were brought here and enslaved to black people of modern times. And ever since then, black people have been using the term African American. Bill Cosby, Maya Angelou, the list keeps going on and on. If you ever go look at early Malcolm X recordings or Martin Luther King recordings, they referred to black people as Negro or black, not African American. I'm sure you probably could find a video clip here or there of Martin Luther King calling black people African Americans. Once again, he was trying to find a connection between African slaves and the common black person. And then a lot of people were just left in the dark because there wasn't no internet. They didn't have the books at their access, so they couldn't actually find out that a lot of indigenous black people, black skinned people, were already here. It wasn't like you could go online and find Ivan von Sertima's book. So then there's that. What I will say is Jesse Jackson being sued, that's new news to me, but it makes sense considering he popularized the term. That's why when black people go on and say, oh, you're trying to discount your African heritage. Well, technically no black person within the last 500 years actually has African heritage. What they have is African genetics, and even that's questionable, because like I said, there were indigenous brown and black skinned people already here, not the Plains Indians. So yeah, I hope that explains it. This is like the 4th or 5th or maybe the 6th video I've done about why black people technically aren't African, right? You have a lot of black people that's going to dispute that, namely Pan-Africanists and African people themselves. But the African people, I don't really pay them no attention because they ain't reading the right books. Not only that, what can you tell me when you were colonized roughly 60 years ago? Like, you just got independence in 1962. What are we talking about here? I'm not taking cues from you. You were still listening to the Queen. So yeah, and for the black people that are Pan-Africanists, like Dr. Umar, niggas is just misguided. That's the only thing I can say on that. In any event, if y'all like this episode, you know what to do, and I'm out.